Well, hello again, folks. Welcome to another Day Tripping with Ken, Utah trip, part 2. We made it here to Cedar City, and we're going to walk around the Homestead area. This is sort of a historic area of the city. Some things are closed. There is the visitor center that's right nearby. It is Sunday, so a lot of things are closed down here, but we're just going to tour around and see what we can see until we have time to check into our hotel. So a lot cooler here. We are much higher elevation, I think about 2,000 feet above where we were at in St. George, something like that, 1,500 or so feet higher. I don't know exactly what it is here, but it is just a very, very pleasant day. So come on along and see what we can find. All right, as we make our way over here, don't really know what is open. The main store, I guess it is, looks open, so we'll check that out. Right off Main Street here. That's the street that goes by out front and goes to the center of town. I can tell you, I always like a place that is related to trains in some way. And over there, you can see an old Southern Pacific caboose. Reminds me when I was young living in the San Francisco Bay Area. I would see those all the time. All right, so the museum is open. Let's go in and see what we can find. It's kind of dark in here. Pretty cool. There's like a $4 admission to go in. Here we are. Looks pretty nice, so let's go in. So walking into the museum here, you see right away kind of the history of transportation in this area. Horse and buggies and some fancy horse-drawn carriages. We'll go down and look at those a little more. Stagecoach down there. Western guns of all types and rifles. And as we go further down here, as I said, a lot of transportation history here. And what do we have here? Is this a Model T or a Model A? I really don't know. Yeah, it is a Model T. There we are. So I was correct. Very nice. So let's look around and see everything that they have. Here's the green Mini. Looks like a working wagon of some kind. Yeah, it could also be kind of a buggy for a family. Some saddlebags over here. A few more Western guns and Western era backpacks, right? Cannon. And what do we have here? This is an officer's uniform of the Mexican and Civil War. Very cool. Some tin cups, teapot, coffee pot. There's a fancy flintlock pistol and boots. Just simple things people would take with us or with them on their journey. Flint starting kit and a possible, it says a possibles bag. I haven't heard that term before, but again, it's like a Western era backpack or side pack. So in the middle of the museum here, there is a model of Union Pacific passenger train. And if you're kind of wondering why Union Pacific was a big railroad, still is, of Utah. In fact, as we go up to Ogden, the Union Pacific station is still up there. It's now a museum, but Union Pacific line still goes right past it. So As I said outside, anytime I can see trains and railroads as part of a museum, I am going to be happy. There we go. Very nice. I always liked the color of Union Pacific passenger trains. So here in the museum, there is some beautiful Navajo jewelry that is for sale. And your name is Carrie?
Yeah, my name is Carrie Rose. My mother used to do demonstrations in the museum when I was younger, so I'm carrying on the tradition.
This stuff is beautiful. Now, do you make all of this?
I do it all by hand. It's all very intentional because we wear it to remind ourselves that we're not animals, but like stewards to the land and the
Right.
animals. And because we're human, we are forgetful, and so we wear it every day just to remind ourselves that we've got this higher purpose in life.
And I notice looking at the colors here, because we've seen other Navajo art before, there seems to be a tradition of some main colors, right?
Yes, it's all very intentional. Mostly the Navajo yin and yang is red and blue. So Mother Earth and femininity, and then Father Sky and masculinity. And then, of course, we always try this. Here's the important colors: black and white, red and blue. So black and white always exist. And then you find your center in the spectrum. And then the red and the white are a reminder, or the red and the blue are a reminder to always balance like your heart and your mind. So the red is your heart, the blue is your mind. So,
Well, it's absolutely beautiful.
yeah.
Thank you for showing us
You're
this.
welcome.
You can see there's a lot of variety here. By the way, are you here often?
Yeah, in the summer, I'm usually here
Okay.
throughout the summer. And then in the winter, I'll be here on Fridays.
Okay, very good. So if you're in this area during those times, you come to this great museum, check this out. Honestly, this is absolutely beautiful. I think the Navajo art and the jewelry is some of my favorite. Look at this here. This is, wow, absolutely beautiful. Here's some beautiful local art that you can purchase. Very nice. Some over here. This is really a nice museum, and I think it was $4 to get in here, $4 a person. So I like this one a lot. Very, very cool. So you can see this is the area gateway to Zion Canyon, Grand Canyon, and Bryce Canyon. As we left St. George today, we took the 15 up to the 9, and the 9 went through Hurricane. We decided not to stop there. We just kind of drove around. By the way, the reason why it's called that is it is spelled as hurricane, but the settlers pronounce it as hurricane, but they called it that because of the high winds in that area. That's sort of the gateway to Zion National Park and these other areas, the northern rim of the Grand Canyon. It's not too far away from here, probably a couple hours or so. So over here we have some clothing of that era, some Western clothing, and a clock and a chair. And what is this? I have no clue what this is. This is this right here is an 1879 Book of Mormon. Wow. And the next to this is you know what? I looked at this, I thought maybe it was some kind of a cannon. It actually looks like steampunk kind of art, but it's not. It was a glass slide projector used at the Cedar City Rock Church during World War II. Wow. A little bit more history of Union Pacific Railroad, which I love, absolutely love, in this area. Yes, although I never rode Union Pacific, I did ride the California Zephyr and the Santa Fe Super Chief during the 1960s, and certainly remember those dome cars you see depicted in the picture there. So we go here. This is, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. This is what you would find in Utah Parks Company cabins. So if you work for the Utah Parks, this is what your furnishings would be. You can see it says Union Pacific on there. I don't know for sure, but they might have had some sort of a relationship with him. You know, back then the train companies would have destinations that they would have a relationship with, much the way that cruise ships like Princess Cruises up in Alaska does now. And see some of banner or plaques up there of the Salt Lake route, Union Pacific System, Overland Route, and Utah Parks Company, Bryce and Zion. So we make our way over here. Bryce Canyon Dining Lodge. Menu, dinner was, wow, $3. And I don't see the date on that. It's hard for me to see. It looks like 1881. I'm not sure if I read that right with my cheap pair of reading glasses. And this is some of the tableware used at buffet at the El Escalante Hotel. And look at this, folks. This is a 1941 snowmobile. Wow. So it was an Eliason snowmobile circa 1941 to 1947. And the saying was, keeping high lines hot when the weather is not. It's definitely the oldest snowmobile I've ever seen. And then here is a little Lego tree. What's a Christmas tree with Lego ornaments on it that if you bring kids here, they can make some sort of a tree ornament and put it up there. It's kind of fun. Over here tells you the rise and fall of sleighing. And interesting, this is a horse here that's set out for the winter. It's got, covering over its face. Why it has antlers, I don't know. Now, maybe it was to sort of blend in with moose or elk in the area. I really don't know. Here would be one of the sleighs over here. It's got some Christmas presents in there, I would assume. And we've got 3 unique horse-drawn wagons or carriages over here. This is a roof seat brake. That's what this is called, and originated in England, where it was used literally to break in horses. Okay, so this is how they would train horses, but you can see it could carry quite a number of people. It is a step up. I can tell you that those seats, the bottom of those seats, are probably, I would say, about 6.5 feet, 7 feet up. So you are sitting up high. Then as we go over here, we can see a dairy wagon. Very cool. And Cedar Crest Dairy. And probably something you could, they would put ice in or and just carry fresh milk products. And let's see what this barrel-shaped one is. I don't know what this is. Let's take a look. This is a water wagon, okay. There you are. Tank wagons were used in the early days for transporting oil and water. And it doesn't say what year that was. Oh, 1894. There we go. And of course, something you really don't ever want to be in, and that would be the hearse, horse-drawn hearse. Very nice, looks pretty, very ornate. Kind of reminds me of the one that's outside the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, where they have the ghost horse pulling it. But not something that you really want to be riding in. That's a quick overview of the interior of the museum, and I think we're gonna head outside. Okay, we made our way outside to the homestead area, where we're gonna see all kinds of different horse-drawn carriages and wagons and plows and all that were used on the homestead. And I do want to mention here, as we were inside, there are a lot of QR codes. So if you ever want to stop and scan any of those and get more information about what you are seeing, you can, which I think is really nice. I mean, more and more museums are doing that, and nature centers or cultural parks, all kinds of things. So really nice. And as we make our way over here, different kinds of farm equipment, all probably made out of iron, forged iron, and these are reapers and mowers. So that's what these are. A lot of them here. Yeah, you can see that in the back there. You know, things that would go through the fields and for the wheat fields and cut down the wheat. So this here, to me, looks like I guess would be called a Conestoga wagon. Something that would be taken overland, you know, as you're traveling westward through the United States, through the country, from one state or one territory to the next. Amazing that even though this is kind of broken down, that it has still survived all this time. And over here, we've got a cabin of some sort. Let's take a look. This is where go in for just information about life in a cabin. So this isn't very big. I would say it's maybe, I don't know, 10 feet by 10 feet at most. Cast iron stove. Those are actually very efficient. And all the cookware that they would have. Just imagine having to cart that across hundreds and hundreds of miles in one of those wagons. So over here we have a beehive oven, and very efficient way to, you know, make anything, bake bread, long cooking of, you know, different roasts and food. And of course, nowadays we would look at this and say this is an outdoor pizza oven, because that's basically what they are. So here's a pioneer cabin. This is larger than the one we just went into, but still a one-room cabin. Got the fireplace there, and a table with some bread and fruit. Canned goods over here. And as you kind of make your way out of, I guess this would be like the kitchen living room area, here you have the bed and some laundry that needs to be done, and a table with some dominoes. So here is the outdoor laundry station. You put your clothes into there, and then you would take these, and I guess you would plunge them down, tamp them down, right? When you say that? And then, so that would agitate the water, and of course, scrubbers. Those you still see. You can find those at Knott's Berry Farm if you want to buy one.
First you would beat out the dirt, and you would boil the clothes. And then you would put them in a wash tub and scrub them.
All right.
And then rinse them. And then hang them on the wall. So, rub them, or I mean heat them up, scrub them, rinse them, put them through the wringer, and then hang them up.
And then hang them up. My dad had one of these, believe it or not. You're probably not surprised at that.
No.
But my dad had a wringer, and he had it on a wash bucket, and what he used it for, it was, you know, back in the 1960s and all, it was common. You could find those at any hardware store. He would use that. He had a traditional chamois cloth to dry off his car after he washed it, and then you would put it through the wringer to get all the water out of it, and it works very well. And then here we are. Hang your laundry out to dry. All right, let's make our way into the schoolhouse. All right, so here we are. Lessons are on the board. I'm not sure what that writing is.
That's Brigham Young's alphabet that he made up to simplify spelling.
Okay, I never knew that.
It's right here.
Yeah, okay. Oh, he had the idea to create an alphabet that would help kids learn to spell. Wow.
Except there's still 44 sounds and he only had 40 characters. So he didn't quite get there.
All right. In the schoolhouse here, I'm gonna go up these stairs. All it says is to be cautious because you can hit your head. Even somebody as short as me, I could hit my head. Very sturdy going up here. So I would assume this is where the schoolmaster would live. Got the bed there, desk, wash tub over there. And I would imagine they cook their meals outside. It's called the Cheaterage. Pioneer families that settled the West placed high value on educating their children. Out here we have the homestead garden, raised vegetable garden, and you can see they're still growing things out here. Looks like some tomatoes for sure growing, and that probably is zucchini starting up over there. So chicken coop, and let's make our way. There's this house here. We'll see what this is. I don't think we can go in, but we'll check it out. All right, so we can go in. They just ask that you're very careful going in here. And here's history of the house, the Hunter house. Joseph Snedden Hunter was born in 1844 in Scotland. His family had joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 1840. And in 1849, all 7 immigrated to the United States and made their way to Utah, arriving in Salt Lake City in 1852. It says that Joseph Hunter had several children, and he helped the church with financial donations. And I don't see where, at least here, how he originally made his money, but this would be a very opulent house of the era. I mean, when you look around here, look at the beautiful fireplace, the woodworking, the built-in cabinets, fairly ornate furniture at the time. And of course, these would have been, gas lights up there, or not gas, candles, of course, and roll-top desk, and beautiful cabinetry to keep their, I guess it's earthenware in. I'm not familiar with this particular style of earthenware, but that's what it is. All right, let's make our way back out into the front entrance. As we make our way into here, I guess this would be considered like the parlor. A lot of uses in here. Sewing machine, and this would be a drop-down desk, it looks like, and also used to store books. Built-in bookcase over here. And this would be an organ, not a piano. You can see down there, you can see the pedals. So somebody who had an organ of that era, they had some money. And you can see all the different levers and buttons to create the sounds that an organ would make. My dad was very good at playing the organ. And checkers, of course, that certainly wouldn't be of the period, but probably would have been playing chess. But the board might have been that big. And look at this, an old phonograph here. Very cool. Look at that. And they still have a record on there. All right, let's make our way up the stairs. A little bit steep, but not too bad. And on one side, they have a door. This is locked. We can't go in this one. But as we make up our way upstairs to the landing, you can see one of the bedrooms here. Nice bed, and then a baby crib over there. Several chairs of the time. And look at this little kid's play set. You can see a little miniature stove and dolls. child's boots. And looks like a very comfortable leather chair over there. And you can see how that pulls out for a footrest. That's kind of neat. Yep. And armoire, is that how you pronounce that?
Mm-hmm.
To put your clothes in. And a wheelchair, look at that. So this room, this probably would have just been another room for all the kids. And there's just different artifacts of the day, different dolls, ironing board. And this would have been a toolkit, very cool. Now there, right here, you can see, that is called a drill brace, and it's called a brace because you would put this end of it against you, brace it against yourself, turn this handle, and that in turn would turn the drill bit, some saws, kind of a glare coming in so it's hard to see, and see a tape measure of the day. Obviously irons, and this is just a chest that has more tools in it. Those are some planes in there, some wood planes and some chisels. So this would be the tool chest of the day. And some more chairs and boxes of soap, laundry soap, and looks like medicine and some starch. And there, of course, is the outhouse. It's, there you go. Obviously, it's not in use, but got used a lot back in the day, for sure. All right, this is the sheep shearing shed, so let's go in there. So here's some information about the sheep shearing shed, and it shows all the different stages. You can see here they got all the sheep out ready to be sheared, and then they would take them in here and shear. Of course, you know, they provided both wool for clothing, and then eventually, as the time happened, they provided meat for the family and the settlers. So let's take a look inside. So inside the shed here, you can see where they would, you know, put the sheep to shear. And at the very end there is a film all about it. Really, it's modern day way, because they still have a sheep farming up here. And I remember reading about Cedar City that they still herd the sheep and they cross some of the roads here now and then. But this is all the various stages. You can see the wool right in there, the bagging of the wool and the shearing. And it does say, please touch. So this is untreated wool.
Does it feel sticky?
Yeah, it does feel sticky.
That's lanolin.
And then wash, but not carded.
So they wash the lanolin out of it. Still a little bit in there.
Okay.
They wash the dirt and everything else that comes off an animal that's been outside. And then they card it to make the fibers interlock, like more organized,
Okay.
so that you can spin it.
You did this once, didn't you? Did you do it with wool?
Yeah.
And you got it at this stage?
Yes.
Okay. So you went through the process and it took a while.
Yes, it's hard work.
Yeah. So you can imagine doing that day in and day out.
And establish a price between us and the buyer.
And then here, of course, are the different shearing equipment. All right, so there it is, right off the sheep there. This is the bagging of the wool.
Feel the lanolin? That
Yes, you do. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you kind of makes your hands feel nice.
It's good for your skin.
Yeah.
By the commission person through the truckers to the feeder, who feeds them
And then
and prepare
here we go here. This is more of the wool.
In a transhuman
Yeah,
population,
very neat. And to
of course,
think
we
it's,
have
it's still done today.
and the farm
Not
on
quite
that
this way, but it's
area,
still done
and we
today.
have where they go
And
for
there's
the
still
winter.
nothing like wool. I mean,
So
seriously,
the winter
it
range
is
is
just
generally speaking
wool and
a
cotton. You just
drier,
don't get any better than
lower
those two
area.
natural
In our
fibers,
case,
at
it's,
least in my opinion.
8 miles west of us, out towards Lyon.
And it looks like they have different activities that you could do here for kids. This one isn't going on today, but pan for gold. And then down in that shed, down in this area, there it was full of sort of the old-time tools of the day, the ones I was showing you that were in that toolbox. And the way it's set up, it looks like it's a way that kids can learn how to use those. And there were some information signs there. So really a lot to do here. Look at the water wheel over here. I don't know what this building was. It has metal doors on it, so it might be something that was fairly newly built. Can't really see the sign. It's just all weathered. But it was, a blast furnace. Okay. That's what it says it was. So let's check it out. So the outside of this building is a replica of a blast furnace that was used for, you can see here, iron mining, and using the furnace to, burn off the iron, get the iron out of the ore. And so there's a model of how that would work. And here's a model of a wagon box camp. Sorry about the shadows, it's just the way the lighting is. And this is mining, directions for mining ore. Let's see if this works here. I don't know if it really does, but. Okay, Joanne's gonna show us how this works. It's actually a magnet to bring up the iron ore. It's a little hard to see just because of the glare, but there's I don't know if you can see that. Now you're seeing the reflection of my phone, but there's the iron ore, and then you drop it into the wagons, and then there you go. Here's the recipe for iron. You got iron ore, limestone, and coal. And information how you would build your furnace by a good steam of water that will power your blast furnace blower. Build a dam, run a wooden flume, carry the water. Build an air pump and a water wheel to turn it. The air pump will blow air into the fuel to make it really burn hot. Okay, steps 1, 2, and 3, and you got a blast furnace. And iron we must have, and of course, for every tool they needed iron for, as I showed you outside, that farm equipment was all made out of iron. Of course, we got the cast iron pan, which I love, my cast iron pan. Heck, if you had a cast iron pan from that era and kept it, it would still be useful today. So you enter and exit through the gift shop. All kinds of things. Oh, seeds. I think I might have to buy. It's a seed postcard. I love these things. You can get the postcard, send it to somebody, and they get a gift along with it. They've got some seeds to grow. I think I'll check that out. Of course, some t-shirts and all kinds of books, little carved animals, and some rocks to make jewelry out of, just all kinds of things here. This was an excellent experience. I highly recommend it. Really enjoyed this. So next time you're up here in Cedar City, make sure you check this out. All part of Utah State Parks. Well, that was our tour here at Cedar City, Frontier Homestead State Park. It was really nice. If you come up through here and you have the time, I would definitely check it out. Obviously, go online. You can get all the information about the hours that it's open. I'd give yourself, if you have a couple hours, that would be great. If you have less time than that, you could get through a lot of it. Well worth seeing, and it's $4 to get in. So I did end up getting seeds. So this is a bouquet mix, wildflower mix, and you know, when I get home, I'll plant them and see what happens. I'm not sure what's in the mix yet, but we'll find out. So check this place out. Well, it's about 8:30 and we're wrapping up our day here in Cedar City, Utah. We showed you earlier that nice historical area and walked around there for a while. After that, all we really did was drive around, kind of see the different neighborhoods. And because there were houses and all that, I didn't really want to stop and, do any videos or anything like that. But really kind of a huge mix of homes here. Everything from just, basic areas that are, just, I would say, not really well kept, to really multi-million-dollar homes up in the hills. Now you can see the smoke behind me, and there is a huge fire, not really near here. You can see it right there. Whoa, right there. It is between Bryan Head and Bryce Canyon, and from what I have seen, it really all is wilderness area. I don't see any towns or structures or anything like that, so that's good news. There was a fire outside of St. George in the Pine Valley, Grass Valley area, which is over the mountain from St. George. That is a recreation area, and there are homes there. So fortunately, I saw they had evacuations going on there. So, man, whether it's California or Utah, it's like we can't get away from the fires. So, we're going to leave tomorrow morning. And let me turn around the shot here, and I'll let you kind of see the area that we're at and a little bit more of the smoke. So you can see off in the distance, that would be over the hills there. That would be Bryan Head in that area. And then further on, I think it's probably, I don't know, maybe about 100 miles from here. I'm really not sure. That would be Bryce Canyon, and that area down in that direction would be Zion. They're not having any fire down there. And it's very hard to see. You way up on the hill there. We were up there earlier today. It is a little bit hard to see in my camera here, but right about there, that is the steeple of the temple that is in Cedar City. So we rode up around there, drove around there, some brand new, very large homes up there. They're building a lot up there, and that's where the aquatic center is that all the kids go to here. We drove by there, and then in another area we went to on the other side of Cedar City. That's where we went to the top of there. They had some really expensive homes up there. We were looking at the listings there. They were, multi-million-dollar homes. So we're kind of wondering, there's not a lot of industry here in Cedar City where these folks work if they travel into St. George. But, even in St. George, there's not a lot of jobs there. I mean, there's a lot for that town, but not to really sustain, I would say, the folks from Cedar City. So who knows? But anyway, we are going to wrap that up here in this area. Tomorrow we'll head up to, as I said, Salt Lake and Ogden, Utah, those areas, and go all around there. Going to spend a couple nights up there, so a little bit longer because I think there's a lot more to see. So hope you follow us again up there. I do appreciate you watching my Day Tripping with Ken videos, and if you like them, let me know, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I do really appreciate it. Thank you. See you next time.